In the summertime, when the weather is high, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather's fine, you got women on your mind. Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find.
Welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. That's right, I said welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I said it really fast, as if a 33 record album was on 78. That's what I just did to you.
Well, I wondered what you said. I'm glad you clarified it.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Now there may be some people watching wondering what a record is.
Yeah, well, we're going
Especially
to talk.
78.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I am Noel T. Manning II. That over there is Bluto from Animal House. Bluto, how are you? Or is it Otter?
I eat like it.
Or Flounder?
I probably
What was
eat like
up
Bluto.
with all those names, Bluto, Flounder, and Otter from Animal House. Yeah.
I think I'd probably go with Bluto. He was enjoying himself the most.
He enjoyed himself quite a bit. That is Greg Tillman. And back, Mission Control, who is that? That is on the Tim Cam. Let's see. Tim Foster, look at him. Yeah, he's
Ready for something?
oh, look, he's,
Some
man,
skin.
he is, that's a, I don't
Can you
know
do that on
what
campus?
that is. I don't,
You do it on cable, but I don't know if you do it on campus.
well, he is under the influence of something. We're not really
I
sure
think
what.
a lot of people think we probably
Yeah,
are too.
yeah, probably so. And so I
He's
just
just ready for summer.
yeah, no, you can change that. Yeah, button it up. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, if he only had pants.
Appreciate that. Today, we're going to celebrate the sounds of summer. We're looking at movie soundtracks.
And I'm touched and impressed at your color coordination for summer. That's a very summery
Thank
looking
you.
outfit.
Yeah,
black
you know,
on black with gray.
I thought I'd have a little
slacks.
fun. This is
Yeah.
Chewbacca, of course.
Yeah.
And
That's not bad, actually.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. I appreciate it. Yeah, this was a gift, and so I thought I would kind of dress down a little bit and relax.
It's very
just a little
summery
bit.
looking.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
I, on the other hand, am wearing shells. It's not quite as snazzy as Christian's crabs. That
Are
he
those
had on
shells
the
and
other week.
cheese, or just shells?
Ooh, that would be
Shells
nice.
and cheese.
Ooh, I'm
Getting
distracted.
hungry.
You distracted me.
Mr. Foster, can you call in some shells and cheese, please? Thank you very much.
When can you get takeout mac and cheese?
I don't know, but there ought to be a place.
You know, you're right.
There should be a
Do you
place.
have a Grubhub?
I think it's something worth checking out. I think Mr. Foster is going to see who can do that. Who's on summer break? Yep. All right, let's do it. Hey, did you know?
No.
June, you did not.
Nope.
June 18th, 1948, Columbia Records revealed a new 12-inch album, 33 1/3 revolutions per minute long-playing record, LP record,
I did not know that.
introduced this summer in 1948.
Wasn't it introduced around the same time that another company invented the 45? And they were in kind of competition for the
I don't
next
know.
big thing after the 78?
Maybe.
And the way it settled down was you'd put out an album and pull some songs of it and
Yeah.
release as a 45.
Yeah, and
So
for people that
they
don't know
both
what-
found their place.
And if you don't know what albums are, it was,
Yeah.
you know, you think of, well, you've got them now, but you can buy singles, which were 45s, but you can just download them as individuals. I mean, you think about the albums that were, you know, this big.
It was an experience.
It was.
You
It
had
was.
the liner notes. You had stories about the bands and the creation of the songs. And you
Lyrics.
could spend an afternoon looking at the pictures and the booklets that came with them.
Yeah,
It
it was.
was more
It
than
real-
just the music.
It really was. I mean, now it's all about the music. I mean, I've got this iPhone over here that has, I think, 2,000 plus songs.
How much fun is that, though? I mean, really.
Well,
as
if
far
I'm in
as-
a car,
Well, yeah.
or if I'm walking down the Broad River Greenway or running or whatever,
Yeah.
it's very fun. So I can't carry the record player with me on my back.
I go jogging with the turntable.
That
on
would
your
not
back.
work. It would skip about every time. It would go, you know. And 8-tracks. I mean, there were certain songs that I would listen to on 8-track records or 8-track tapes
Really?
that I never knew when it ended and began, because remember, it would
It would loop around.
it would loop and it would click in the middle of a song. And so there are certain songs that when I actually heard it without the sound, I'm like, oh, that wasn't part of the song? I didn't know that. So there you go.
I knew that.
So all of that backstory to tell you, we're going to talk about movie soundtracks of summer. These are not necessarily movies of summer, but these are soundtracks that were released during the summer, soundtracks that had success during the summer, even though some of them were released much earlier. First one on my list is Animal House. This goes back to 1978, July 28th, 1978. In the movie, it was 1962. College life was really never the same, until you really hang out with John Belushi, not Jim Belushi, John Belushi, and also the Delta House frat boys. Harold Ramis, John Landis put this movie together. It really took comedy to a new level, I thought, especially for R-rated comedies at that
Some
time.
would say a new low level.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It
and
was
maybe so.
lowbrow, but it was, by
may-
today's standards, it's probably sophisticated.
Yeah, some of it's pretty tame by
Yeah,
today's standards,
yeah.
but
It would probably be a PG-13 now if it were out.
well, no, because there was
Well,
some
there's a
nudity.
CNC, but,
There was nudity in it, and so I think it'd still be an R, but maybe a more tame R.
maybe.
You're not sure. But the movie did become a cult classic, and then it's one of those that's really lived and continued to live on, and people keep going back to it. Now, the soundtrack was pretty amazing. Really a perfect soundtrack. It featured Sam Cooke, Otis Day and the Knights singing Shout. Of course, that was the stage band.
Yep.
And John Belushi performed some songs on the soundtrack as well. And,
He does?
Yeah, he does. He does Louie Louie, and he does a few others.
Stephen Bishop had a cameo in it, too.
He did.
He's the guy playing the guitar on the stairs at the party.
Yeah.
That
But just
blew.
a movie to me that still remained a classic and a soundtrack that I still go back to time and time again.
That's a great movie.
All right, so what's on your list? Give me a soundtrack on your list.
I couldn't relate to it, but Flashdance.
Okay.
Because I think we talked about that, and it actually came out in the spring, maybe. But I remember it was '84, and you were bombarded with singles off of that.
Irene Cara.
By Irene Cara, yeah, the theme. And, oh, gosh. And, of course, it's gone out of my head, but there are plenty of others.
Oh, yeah, there were quite a few hits from
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, Michael.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Michael, what was his name, Tim?
Maniac.
Michael
The song was Maniac. He's a
Michael the Maniac. Man, look how he's singing it. Maniac, Maniac.
He has his leggings on right
Oh,
now.
French fries. I like your French fries. Maniac. Were those lyrics? Maniac with the French fries. Yes.
They didn't have French
Mr.
fries.
Foster said yes. Look, yeah, good, and a successful film as well as a successful soundtrack.
Yep.
Are you looking up the dates of that or something?
No,
Or
I'm
trying-
looking up Mike's name.
Michael's
Mike's last
name.
name, the Maniac guy.
But we'll come back to
Yeah,
that. We'll
I'll
come
get-
back to that.
I'm doing research.
Research.
You just talk.
I will give you another John Landis film. It looks like it's a John Landis kind of show. Blues Brothers and another Belushi film. This came out June 20th, 1980. The film was a hit, and it really was a backdrop musical. I mean, it was a movie that was about the music and the impact of that music. Really remember just absolutely loving this soundtrack. Introduced to a lot of music that my mom grew up with. But introduced to it through John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. James Brown also in this, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, and many more. Every single time I listen to this soundtrack, I get happy.
Michael Cimbello.
Michael Cimbello.
Yeah, sorry.
Michael Cimbello.
We're on a different movie now, but I had to get that out of
he
him.
was in Flashdance. Actually, he did the music for Flashdance. Maniac. Is that right, Mr. Foster? Are you a Blues Brothers fan, Mr. Foster? Yeah. And they did a sequel to that. It was not
Blues
very
Brothers
good.
2000.
Yeah, it was not very good. But I have appreciated how they have continued kind of making the music stay alive from that, and even those characters stay alive. They were characters that were spin-offs of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. It's from what's considered the finest episode from start to finish of SNL.
Why's that?
Steve Martin hosted it.
Okay.
Because every sketch was right on and funny.
Yeah.
It opened with the cold opening was actually Lauren introducing the Blues Brothers.
Really?
And you kept waiting for the joke.
Right.
And the joke, I guess, was that there wasn't a joke.
Yeah, that you
And
got
they,
these.
They were the musical guests.
Yeah, the
that night.
comedians that were
Yeah.
singing.
But every sketch, I've got that on DVD. And
Really?
it's just funny from start to finish. Yeah, terrific.
Well, the Blues Brothers, I mean, had as a spin-off skit, it was amazing because they had a movie, and then they had a series of successful releases as well. Briefcase Full of Blues was a great album. And I go back today and still listen to their stuff as well. So Blues Brothers on my list of essential soundtracks of summer, and that was the summer of 1980. What else is on your
I'm
list?
going to go with Ghostbusters, even though you had that on your list. I guess the only real hit off of it was the theme from Ghostbusters. But every time I hear that, it takes me straight back to the summer of '84. That movie, that song dominated the season, and I never really get tired of it. And you know, the kids that are singing Ghostbusters in the background, those are Ray Parker Jr.'s neighborhood kids.
Were they really?
He recorded it in his home studio, and he got to that point, and he went out, door to door and rounded up all the neighbors' kids, and they're in there yelling, Ghostbusters.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Mr. Trivia, Mr. Research,
Useless stuff.
Mr. Useless Tillman. No, wait a minute.
I've been called that a lot. You have to be more
I didn't
creative
know
than
that.
that.
But yeah, that movie, once again, SNL alums involved in that, and going back to Ramus again. So yeah, we've got some connections going on here.
Bill Murray.
Good. That was the song of that summer, and that was summer of '84, I believe. On my list, it sounds like SNL is all we're kind of diving on today. But Caddyshack from 1980, this was July 25th, 1980. The film pioneered movie soundtracks of the 1980s. And what I mean by that is it was after this point that you saw film distributors who also owned music labels realizing, hey, if we can capture pop music in soundtracks and in films, we can double the money and we can really have some success there. Now, you had seen that happen before, but in the 80s, it really, really found a way to take off. In this particular movie, Kenny Loggins had a top 10 hit with the song I'm All Right. Backing vocals on this from Eddie Money. This song is still considered a pop classic today. The soundtrack also featured songs from Journey, Earth, Wind and Fire, and a song from years gone by from Eddie Cochran. Remember that song from Eddie Cochran, Summertime Blues?
Yeah.
That was also on that. So Caddyshack is a movie that reminds me of summer, but the soundtrack definitely reminds me of summer because still one of my favorite Kenny Loggins songs, I Am All Right. And I got a chance to interview him a few years ago,
Loggins,
which was
really?
pretty cool. I was interviewing him in relation to the animated series Archer. And
What's the connection there?
well, they refer to Kenny Loggins quite a bit because they're, hey man, you're stepping into the danger zone, and so they make jokes of that. And he actually ended up having a role on that as well, and his kids were very happy because they were big fans of Archer. So there you go. So Kenny Loggins, Caddyshack's I'm All Right. What else is on your list, sir?
Stealing another one from you, Grease,
Yeah.
which to me wasn't a great movie. It really isn't. You know, they're high school kids and they're in their early 30s and they look, they're not disguising or fooling anyone.
Well, it's kind of like 21 Jump Street, but a musical version.
Yeah. But the songs are great. And it dominated 78.
78. Yep.
You're the One That I Want. Grease is a Word.
Summertime. What was it?
Hopelessly
Summer
Devoted to
Lovin'.
You.
Summer Lovin'. Yeah, a ton of hits.
Just on and on and on.
Yeah, trivia about that. The soundtrack was actually released 2 months before the film.
Really?
Yeah, 2 months before the film. Film released June 1978. 28 million copies of this album sold worldwide. So huge success for this. Was number one on the charts for 13 consecutive weeks. The album it knocked off that summer was the Rolling Stones' Some Girls, was the album that got knocked off. Also a huge box office hit. And this is pretty crazy to me. From 1978 to 2012, this was still the most successful musical at the box office until Les Mis.
Really?
So it held that slot forever almost.
Is Les Mis still the champ?
No,
or
no,
did
it's,
The
no,
Greatest
but-
Showman?
Yeah, Greatest
take it?
Showman, and then also La La Land, I think, knocked it off. But the past few years, we've had some successful musicals. But you think about,
I was just sitting here thinking while we're talking about this, we're talking about all these great soundtracks and these great songs, but that doesn't seem to be the trend anymore. I
No.
can't think unless I'm just totally blanking right now, which is always a possibility with me. I can't think of a movie that's had a hit song out of it in a while.
yeah, I think well, we'll
and
talk about this.
frankly, I don't know what makes a hit anymore. It's not record sales.
Yeah.
Because there aren't really records, it's downloads, I guess,
Yeah.
maybe. airplay. I don't know.
It's different. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
different.
it's a
And
different
maybe
world.
after the break we'll talk about maybe some recent films that have some soundtracks worth listening to. We
Yeah.
are talking about The Sounds of Summer right here on C19 TVs. Meet Me at the Movies. You can email us, info@c19.tv. And you can also download the podcast by going to wgwg.org. I'm Noel T. Manning II. That's Gregory Tillman. And Tim Foster back there hanging out doing something unusual as always. We'll be right back after this break.
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me.
We always have had
That's
a
true.
certain courtesy to other people upon their retirement or somebody's passing.
I got something nice to say about our retirement.
Well, we're not.
Good riddance.
Oh, was it you?
First, he put giant flagpoles on the White House lawn like it was a Buc-ee's, and then he cemented over the Rose Garden. Then he turned the Oval Office into a place that looks like a New Orleans cat house.
Well, I'm sure President Obama evaluated both candidates and went with the best one, better one.
Yeah, one of
But
them
I
had a D
was-
by her name.
One cannot help but wonder why. Betsy, one possibility would be that the Hurricanes are now afraid to enter the newly named Gulf of America while Trump's in the White House.
Education is our most powerful tool to improve and change our world. Hi, I'm Rhonda Benfield, your host for School Matters. Join me for a new program every other week with information from and about the students and staff of Cleveland County Schools. Discover what our schools are doing to challenge students and help them reach their full potential. You can catch us on Spectrum Cable Channel 19 or stream us live on c19.tv.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. The sounds of tutoring and tech and health and fitness and arts and music. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me.
Welcome back to Meet Me in the Movies. I am Noel T. Manning II with Mr. Greg Tillman over there beside camera
I'm
one.
sitting here doing some research.
Doing research, man. Doing research. So you're not
trying to
texting.
make myself somewhat useful.
Are you texting for Grubhub? Still trying to get the shells and cheese?
That's a whole other story.
That's a whole other story.
I'm doing both.
You know, Tim promised us during the break that we would have some shells and cheese delivered by his brother. Actually, Paul Foster was going to be bringing some shells and cheese. You're just now calling? You told me you're going to call earlier, man. What's going on?
He's been throwing back shots, so he can't drive and get it.
Man, look at him. All right, we are talking the soundtrack of summer, sounds of summer, movie soundtracks from summer that have been successful during summer. Can I say summer one more time?
Say it.
Summer.
Okay.
Summer season.
That's it.
So
Now it's
what-
enough.
What research are you looking at right now?
I don't know.
You don't
I'm
know? Okay.
I'm brainstorming.
Yeah, all right, brainstorm. Okay, well, here's another one on my list from 1982. This is Fast Times at Ridgemont High, August 13th. It was a late summer release, but once again, it was one of those where the soundtrack was released earlier before the film was. This is really a coming-of-age high school comedy written by Cameron Crowe. It launched careers of Sean Penn, Forrest Whitaker, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold also in this. And there were a lot of cameos. Eric Stoltz had a cameo in this. Nicolas Cage had a cameo in this, and so did Anthony Edwards. Remember Anthony Edwards?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All of those
Mark
were
Green from ER.
All of those were Sean Penn's buzz buddies. Basically, they were the ones that would go out and get buzzed with him.
I have a confession.
You have a confession.
I've never seen that film.
Never seen.
I
that
don't know
film.
why.
I am incredibly disappointed. We talked about this
I
one
am
time
disappointed,
before, and I ban you from the show for 12 seconds and you're gone. So you have to leave. You come back in 12 more seconds. This soundtrack was really amazing for me. What I really loved about the soundtrack is that I was a big album-oriented rock fan, huge fan of that growing up. And so this was one of those albums that had a huge success on album-oriented rock stations. 19 different tracks on this double album at that time, and what that means is it had more songs than you could fit on one album, for those of you that don't understand what that means. Some of the artists from this, Jackson Browne, Joe Walsh, Don Henley, solo tracks from both of these guys, Sammy Hagar. Still a favorite movie of mine, and the soundtrack I keep going back to, even though it didn't have a ton of hits.
Yeah.
But still, a movie and a movie soundtrack that reminds me of summer.
I'm going farther back, 64 maybe, Hard Day's Night.
Oh, yes.
Big Beatles fan here.
Yes.
And of course you had Hard Day's Night, you had And I Love Her, I Should Have Known Better, If I Fell, Can't Buy Me Love, just on and on. It's a treasure trove of early Beatles classics.
Yeah,
it really
and
is.
The soundtrack.
And a fun movie too.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the movie and the soundtrack both were just stellar. And when you look at, to me, some of the best movies ever made, that one shows up there because of what it did, because it introduced this band, but it did it in a tongue-in-cheek way that you're not sure, am I watching a documentary? Am I watching reality? What am I watching here?
You're a real critic, I'm not, but I've read multiple times that it's actually considered one of the best musicals ever made.
Yeah, I would say that. I would agree with you. I would absolutely agree with you.
Most
Hard
people
Day's
would
Night.
think of something like Singing in the Rain,
Right.
which is too.
Yeah.
But Hard Day's Night, with that documentary kind of
Yeah.
style to it,
Well, and
it
there's-
doesn't seem to fit the normal mode.
Yeah, and there are different styles of musical.
Yeah.
You've got your true form musical, which is, you and I are talking, all of a sudden I break into song.
You've
You
done
know,
that before.
I've done that
Yeah.
before. That's the true form musical, and Tim is really trying to work out some things with a composer, working with Christian Jessup, to try to write lyrics and music to go along with the show. So we're going to have a musical version of Meet Me at the Movies.
That's a great idea. Next time you see him, he needs to write a Tim's theme.
Tim's theme. I
that'll
like
pop
it.
up every time we
We're going
see
to work
Tim.
on that. So we're working on Meet Me at the Movies, the musical. Meet Me at the Movies, the musical. I can't even say it.
Count me out.
Count you out. So we're working on that. We're working on that. Hard Day's Night, yes, classic. Absolutely love that. And huge fan of the Beatles. Have been since I was a young whippersnapper. Even when I was just a young whipper, I was a fan.
Before you started snapping?
Before I started
Yeah.
snapping, I was still a fan of the Beatles.
I
Footloose.
snap every morning when I'm trying to get up.
Footloose from 1984, another big hit. I was working at summer camp, Camp Walter Johnson, during this summer.
That's a
and
real camp?
It's a real camp.
Okay.
Camp Walter Johnson, yes it is.
Who was Walter
The
Johnson?
Salvation Army camp in Denton, North
okay.
Carolina.
Okay.
Walter Johnson gave a lot of his land, and they named the camp after him. But work in the dining room, they would always, after meals, they would have a little cassette deck and they would play music, and people could bring in their music. And this was a soundtrack that got a lot of play in the dining room when people were cleaning up. Kenny Loggins, once again, we talked earlier, Kenny Loggins back for another movie soundtrack hit with a theme song from this film. Kevin Bacon, John Lithgow, and Chris Penn, Sean Penn's brother, starring in this. It's about the movie's about a town that outlaws dancing. And of course, rock and roll music didn't have any really good place to live there. Right. 2 #1 tracks on the Billboard charts, an Oscar and also Golden Globe nominations. Soundtrack was #1 for 8 weeks. Also had really tremendous box office success. What's interesting though, the movie was released in February of '84, but the soundtrack had such an incredible success that it was a huge hit throughout that entire summer. 6 top 10 hits, and I think that's part
Let's
of
hear it
what
for the
caused
boy.
that. What?
Let's hear it for the boy.
Let's hear it for the boy.
Footloose.
Footloose. Bonnie Tyler, Hanging On for a Hero, was
yeah.
on there. Denise Williams did Let's Hear It for the Boy. Ann Wilson of Heart and Mike Reno also had a song
Almost Paradise.
on there as well.
Yep.
So Footloose on my list of summertime soundtracks. Another one on your list.
A movie from '86 or '7 that I didn't see until maybe 2 years ago, Dirty Dancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about Dirty Dancing.
Had the time of my life.
Yeah, you did, watching Dirty Dancing?
Not necessarily. Brought back the Ronettes, Be My Baby, She's Like the Wind, sung by Patrick Swayze, which doesn't fit the time period at all, but then I guess maybe neither does Time of My Life.
But they made it work.
Yeah. Stay by Maurice Williams. You know, it was a great soundtrack, though.
Good soundtrack. 32 million copies sold of this, 18 weeks at #1, 3 top 10 singles. Huge, huge, huge success. Grammys, Golden Globes, and an Oscar for the soundtrack. So huge, huge hit for Dirty Dancing.
And both of these two films we just talked about, Dirty Dancing and Footloose, have been remade.
Yeah, and the
past few
remakes were not very good.
So stay away from the remakes.
Stay away from remakes of classic films.
Yep.
I still feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
I still
they're
feel
talking
that way.
about remaking The Breakfast Club. No.
I don't know. I'd like to see The Breakfast Club as a stage play.
I'm surprised it hasn't
I'd
been.
really like to see it as a stage play, but
Yeah.
not as a remake.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
speaking,
that as a musical. That could be interesting.
that would be good as a musical. But speaking of some of those same cast of characters, the Brat Pack,
Yeah.
a film from 1985, St. Elmo's Fire. June 28th, 1985, this was released. Joel Schumacher directed this. Starred Rob Lowe, Demi Moore, Emilio Estevez, Ali Sheedy, and Judd Nelson, just to name a few. This film was really a huge, it wasn't a hit, but it really had a lot of appeal for young adults and college kids, even though it wasn't a huge box office hit. I remember really enjoying it, and I think a big part of it, once again, you know, working at summer camp, we would have time away from camp as friends, as a community, and we'd always go to movies, and we would go to see what was playing there, and we all really connected with this. The soundtrack had a huge hit with John Parr doing the Man in Motion title track, and then the love theme. This was interesting. David Foster did a lot of production work for Chicago,
Right.
and had the instrumental song on that, the love theme, that was a
big
success.
hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one other one, my favorite track was actually not a hit, but two former members of Kansas, John and Dino Elefante, the Elefante brothers, did a song called Young and Innocent, and that was my favorite song on that soundtrack.
Not familiar with it.
And still
Yeah.
listen to that. Fee Waybill had a song on there, and he was from She's a Beauty. What's that? Who did that? The Tubes.
The Tubes.
He
Yep.
was a singer from the Tubes. Also, it had, wow, I'm trying to think. Billy Squire had a song on that, so it was a pretty good soundtrack. St. Elmo's Fire from 1985. Another one on your list.
We're about out of time, but I've got to mention Purple Rain.
Purple Rain,
Yeah.
84.
Prince, 84 again.
Another 84.
That was the magic year for musicals.
Yeah, that was truly a musical.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was.
You know, well, it was
You know, let's go Crazy, Purple Rain, on and on. It was just a laundry list of great Prince songs.
When that album came out, I was working at Camelot Music, and at a record store. We, of course, sold CDs and cassettes too, but we sold a lot of albums. And that was the most popular album,
Oh, yeah.
or CD or cassette that we sold. It was incredible. And still, I go back to that movie, and it's, Prince, there was something about him.
Yeah.
There was just something about Prince.
And nothing he did on film after that really captured
No.
whatever that
I agree.
something is.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It was lost after that.
One more I've got to throw out because I was told if I did not, that I could not do this show. Top Gun from 1986, another Kenny Loggins fueled piece. Danger Zone, huge hit. Jerry Bruckheimer, Tom Cruise came together in this, collaborated. This was the film of the summer and also the best-selling soundtrack of the summer of 1986. 3 top 10 hits. Artists like Cheap Trick, Miami Sound Machine, Loverboy, and Berlin all had songs on that.
It's interesting how we barely got out of the 80s. Pretty
I
much
know,
the whole
it's
show
crazy.
80s.
Well,
Yeah.
and that was, you think
Yeah.
about MTV, and that's what fueled a lot of those soundtracks.
Honorable mention to the Jaws theme.
Okay, honorable mention
1975.
to the Jaws
Yeah.
thing, absolutely. I'll let you leave us with a quote of the day, and so pull the Summertime Blues. It's summer, you're thinking about summer, so pull a quote.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
There's your quote of the week from Mr. Greg Tillman. Next time, I'm Noel T. Manning II for Greg Tillman and Tim Foster back there on the Tim Cam Mission Control. Till next time, that is a wrap.